For me, it's it's been really interesting for me to come at XR and VR creation with who I am, with this like cultural and spiritual aspect. As I mentioned, as soon as I started creating in Tilt Brush, I started creating these animals and being inspired by the Dene legends and legends and stories of the Northwest Territories in general. And that alone implements research and a better understanding of these stories and that sort of thing, consultation with elders. Um, so in wanting to create in this way, it's kind of opened up that direction of wanting to gather more information for myself. Like, I moved away from my hometown when I was 7 years old. So I've always had this kind of disconnect with my culture. So therefore, no, like, as I've lived all over Western Canada, even up in the Yukon and BC, um, that understanding and that thirst for knowledge for my culture has never dwindled, but it's just become very difficult because it's always been from a distance. So I've had to try and learn my language through a Tlicho dictionary that doesn't have this vocabulary to it. It's just like written text, right? However, I got the Tlicho app last year, so now I'm like starting to lock down on my pronunciation and whatnot. But it's really allowed me to learn more about my culture and to present it in a way that totally puts the viewer into the story. There's numerous types of media and art and presentation of indigenous culture, throughout the world, throughout history, video, illustrations, all of that. But I find that VR and XR is so effective in that sort of world. So you can tell a person a story all you want, but when you put them right in the middle of it, it totally changes the feel of what you're trying to communicate. And regardless of anyone's disconnect with someone else's culture, it's like they get it. They don't have to be explained what's going on, because they're looking at it, they're feeling it, and their brain is able to put together the missing pieces that aren't available to them, like smell, for instance. Like, we had someone who viewed Wanazakioke say that it really made me feel like I was in the Northwest Territories in the middle of winter. It's like I could smell the trees and the snow, and it's like, wow, like, that's kind of out there, because obviously there's no smell within these creations, but also the feeling that you get from these creatures that unknowingly they're kind of like demanding your respect in a way, but it's this kind of like subconscious sort of feel, right? Mostly because of the size of them. It's like, all of the animals are massive within these creations. And some of them are up in the Northwest Territories. But it's really fueled that understanding of where I come from, and I'll always respect that. But my mind can't help but trying to communicate how things might be in the future, and to kind of formulate this understanding of not only where we come from, but where we will be going in the future. And to me, that's like one of my main inspirations. It's like, I can't help but not think about how our drum circle is going to be, hosted in the future. And will all of the Dene drummers be on this like levitating neon kind of like platform that goes throughout the arbor, and everyone's voices are connected to this giant PA system in like 20.1 sound. um so that's just how I kind of interpret things, while at the same time really paying respect to all the teachings of our elders, um and what they think, because as a borderline anarchist, it's like, I really don't care what anyone else thinks, but your elders are a different story, you know. And for me, when I started to create within VR and to create these animals and to create with this idea of paying homage and respect to the stories and the legends, I was always really concerned as to what our elders would think about me specifically doing this, and that had been on my mind from day one. um, but the shift in that came from when my friend Davis, who's the person who got me into VR from WOMP, he went up to Delaunay, Northwest Territories, for a workshop, and he asked if he could show my piece Raven Gods to some of the elders up there. And immediately I was like, okay, here it comes. This is the moment of truth, you know. And I was like, okay, you know, sure, but let me know what they say, because I'm really interested in that. And he said that they were in the headset, they were looking around, they were looking up and everything, and they took off the headset and they said, you know, I really didn't expect much or think much of VR, but if it's going to be used like this, then it's okay with me. And that was like the only thumbs up green light that I ever needed. You know, it's like there could be haters from all over the place, but this one elder from Delaunay gave me the green light. So I'm good. I'm good. You know, so it's been this confidence booster for me, in knowing that I'm doing things and creating in this way that really pays respect. And I think that's really important to me. With the follow-up with for that question is, I'm really excited about how people are using various forms of XR to tell their stories, because even though there's some, you know, organizations, people that are leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else in terms of VR and AR, mostly like the big gaming companies, that sort of thing, overall it still seems like XR is kind of in its infancy, where it's like this boiling pot of everyone, and then it's this beginning stage as to where it's going to go. It's like the trunk of a tree that blossoms off into these various different branches and that sort of thing, and then all of the leaves and sub branches coming off of that. It seems like this endless kind of creation realm for so many different people around the world, and it's just so fascinating to see. As well as the new technology that's being created, the new software, and it just seems like this unlimited capability genre that can be taken in so many different directions that I'm really excited about.